Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, sitting down to review Minecraft Legends. Now I'm going to be totally transparent for a moment about the review process for me at times, which is when a lot of reviews are getting ready to turn up, like Dead Island 2, Jedi Survivor, Minecraft Legends, Redfall. Things are going to stack up really quick, and you got to make what are called business decisions. Okay, I want to play this game, but will I have the time to give it the honor, the respect, the fair take, and make sure that I can produce a good review for all of you? So usually what I do is the litmus test. I'll fire it up, I'll try it for a couple hours and see if it can get through that. Because at that point, I'll just choose, you know what, we'll do some impressions, maybe on defining Duke, and we'll just leave it as that because I don't want to dedicate all the time to a review here. I just may not have the time because while I'm playing one game, maybe another one sneaks up on me that I would view as a higher priority. Like if I'm reviewing Minecraft Legends and Dead Island 2 comes in, I'm going to be more keen to try out Dead Island 2. That's no disrespect to Minecraft Legends, it's just that one game speaks to me more than the other. Well, what I'm all saying this for is that Minecraft Legends not only passed the litmus test, but I actually thought it was pretty good as I was playing it through. While it's been marketed a bit as a beginner's RTS, and I feel like it kind of is that, the reality is that Minecraft Legends is pretty difficult at times, and I had a blast getting into it, so I just wanted to share my thoughts after my playthrough of Minecraft Legends and let you all know that this one may be worth your time if you were interested. So if you're new here and you're interested in more day one reviews, hopefully we got more on the way. I'm trying to review Dead Island 2 and also Jedi Survivor and Redfall. Fingers crossed the reviewer gods bless me with codes. We'll see, but consider subscribing nonetheless. Let's begin at the top. I think this game is absolutely beautiful. I loved exploring its world. While there's just a lot of bases to assault within them and other villages and very little interaction, it's just a looker, especially on Series X where I had played through the game. It's also fully co-op, which was a good time unto its own, but most of my time was spent in single player. So what happens is you'll start up your campaign, there's a little bit of a tutorial, and then it'll generate your world like it would in any Minecraft game. Once it does, you'll have a series of bases placed all throughout the map with difficulty rankings. And what you'll do is as you approach them, sometimes the game will frustratingly tell you to turn back, something that they can't just tell you in the map menu. But once you find the right base to assault, then the fun truly begins. It does manage to ease you into the process of what an RTS is, and that's where it is beginner friendly, like understanding the mechanics. It's more action oriented, like you're running into the thick of battle, you're attacking the piglins who are assaulting the Minecraft world, and now you've got to team up with zombies and creepers and skeletons. Oh my, is it something else? And you're assaulting the piglin bases. And so what you'll do is, of course, in a Minecraft game, be able to build. There were times I was putting down ramps, I was building walls to protect villages, and this was allowing for a little bit more creativity. Now, there are monsters that you can spawn, like cobblestone monsters that are good for attacking structures versus ranged skeletons that are good for shooting over walls and hitting enemies, zombies which are high health, so they're good sponges and distractions for the enemy, and so on. Each mob group, if you will, has their own purpose and their own tactical advantage at the right time as you're attacking these spaces, and so it leads to a lot of moment-to-moment decision making, which I like. I am admittedly awful at RTS games. Like when I was playing Age of Empires 4, it was addicting, but in the way where I was thinking, wow, I'm awful at this, I hope one day I can be at least somewhat respectable. I never was. But with Minecraft Legends, because it's more action oriented and more back and forth, it felt like it catered more to my play style of being able to react on the fly rather than planning 5 steps ahead, which I know master RTS players like, and you can do that in this game, but I really like in Minecraft Legends that I can sort of respond in the moment. So what I'll do, for example, I was assaulting a high level base and I placed down, I think, 5 cobblestone strikers that would go in and start attacking structures, and that would lure all the piglins to one direction to start protecting it, because that's how the game's AI would work. The second you start attacking a structure or an enemy, here comes the entire army itself, and then maybe I'd lead a backdoor attack. This is where co-op can thrive. Now, you'll have to split the forces. You'll see a number on one of the bottom corners of the screen, and that'll be the limited amount of forces that you can spawn. And it starts off at 20. You can gradually increase that, but that means that, for example, if you're playing 2-player co-op as I did, you'll split off into 2 forces of 10. This leads to opportunities to assault bases from different angles with different groups of attackers, and overall is a really good time. But what's nice is the pick up and play nature of it. When I started my playthrough, I was a couple of hours in, and then my buddy had downloaded the game off my account and hopped in to test out co-op. Now, when he had done that, he didn't have to go through any tutorials. He just joined my world with my campaign in progress. He was getting achievements. He was at my point in the story. There is no need for one player to be at a certain point and another player to be at the same exact point. They can just hop into your world and help you out, and that stuff is great. Just know that if you got any unlockables in your campaign or your world, it's not going to carry over. It's going to be at the status of the host's game, which I think is great because it did make sure that he didn't have to do even the tutorial. He just joined my world and we started playing together right away, and it worked smoothly. That was a lot of fun. But what I enjoyed more was honestly playing on my own. Not that Minecraft Legends is a bad co-op game, it's actually great. I personally preferred Minecraft Legends in single player because when you're starting to grow your forces more and more, you can control your destiny a bit easier. It's sometimes difficult to strategize with a friend over the microphone when you want to start making your own play and kind of controlling the battlefield yourself more and more. As you'd expect, a la Minecraft, you're going to have multiple biomes, and each biome is going to have their own diverse effects within them. Like some have more poisonous air, some have areas where the piglins are far more aggressive, and I mean really aggressive. I remember one time I was spawning my creature army, and in comes a piglin army from beyond the walls coming at me, and so I had to run away, and that was a really cool moment. But with that does come in the reality check I want to give some of y'all, which is Minecraft Legends, in my humble newbie experience, can be a little difficult at times. Once I figured it out, sometimes it was a little too easy, but I was thinking of it from the kid perspective at that. So what I mean by this is, typically how I figured out these battles was I would distract the enemy on one side and I would come in on the other and just rinse and repeat, and just keep manipulating the AI that way. But what was the real fun part was utilizing the building, like creating a ramp and going up this big mountain and creating my own pathway to where these enemies lie. Tactically taking down structures like, oh, they're shooting these pigs at me that are exploding and spawning more and more of them, which is making it difficult for me to spawn forces. I need to take that out first, then the arrow tower. That's where the difficulty really lies, in choosing how you want to pick apart the structures. But in the terms of distracting enemies and gradually doing that, it started to become easy. But make no mistake that I think for the younger audience who may find a love here in RTS games, this will be a little bit more difficult for them, in my opinion. That's where co-op's great. Like if you're a parent watching this and you want to play with your kid and you are familiar with the RTS genre, this would be a great game for you to play with your kid and kind of help them along, because I will say there were times I went, oh, this is actually genuinely a challenge. Not that it was super surprising, but don't be mistaken that it's the ultimate super beginner friendly, cheesy, happy Minecraft game. It can be tough at times, and enemies have different patterns depending on that biome I talked about earlier, so you should be aware of that. With that in mind, it's still a Minecraft game, so do know that you're going to be collecting resources. It's not like what you would typically do in Minecraft, where you hammer away with a pickaxe, none of that. What you'll do is actually start running around. You'll see a bunch of blocks of redstone, and you'll put down a gather redstone box, and as you're running around, you're going to see the number on the bottom left corner go up for that, and you're just going to see that for everything: coal, iron, and you're going to gradually be able to gather these resources as you complete bases. You'll do what's effectively leveling up, where you'll go back to your wellspring and be able to place these new improvements around them, which allow you to gather different types of resources, allow you to build different types of forces and structures and so on. And so the game gradually expands, and of course from this area you will also be able to increase the amount of creatures that you can spawn. So it does have pretty good progression, it does have decent exploration, it does have all the Minecraft game elements that you would expect, so it doesn't forget it's that in sake of the RTS. It's a great hybrid ultimately. There is a story here. The reason I'm talking about it so late in the review is because it's kind of just there. I don't think many of you were expecting a compelling narrative, but typically what happens is after every base you take down, there's a little cutscene of, you know, a piglin being run down or beat up as they're panicking and chaos is spreading and they're just freaking out because they're losing the war. So it just continuously displays that as more and more forces roll out into the world and things change and develop. And that's one thing I do like about the story, is as it moves on, the world changes and behaves differently. So sometimes at night, the piglins will become more aggressive and it'll say the piglins are planning, and you'll actually have to defend your villages. So these villages are hubs where you can have, for example, chests that fill up with resources. So instead of going out and farming endlessly, this is a good way to keep the gameplay flow. I really like that they added this here, and it actually makes the villages worth protecting. So there I am, building walls around the village, erecting arrow towers, placing down ice traps, spawning my forces, getting ready to defend. And that's where it feels more like an action game, where I'm not sending a set of my army over in one direction and a set of my army in another direction. While you can do that, you can play it, as you're seeing here on screen, more of an action game like I did, and I kind of like that a little bit more. Is it the ideal way to play an RTS? No. Did I probably make it a little bit more difficult for myself? Yeah, definitely. But this is where, as you increase the amount of forces that you can spawn through leveling up, pretty much, this will only get easier for you to do. But you can play it kind of like an action RTS, and I thought that was really nice. Still, this is all based off the world changing as I made progress. They get more aggressive at night, they attack my villages, I gotta protect them, while I'm also going out and assaulting their bases. And you also assault homesteads where various forces lie. That's how you unlock things like the creepers, things like the zombies, the skeleton crew, and so on and so forth. And so you just build your own army. It's a good time, ultimately. I'm not going to oversell it to you because I wasn't in love with it. It is a Minecraft game at the end of the day. It is a little more kid-focused, and I do prefer, if you will, the more mature experience. But for what it was great. It earned my time. I felt like it respected my time. It didn't hold me down with constantly building structures and waiting for resources. It was easy to farm things. It was easy to keep the ball rolling. And I hope that in the wave of what's happening with Redfall and some people's uncertainty with Starfield, or even hype for Starfield, that Minecraft Legends doesn't get overshadowed. That was the main thing that pushed me into doing this review. I went, okay, I like what's here. I enjoyed my full playthrough. Now, I really feel like this game does deserve your attention, and if you have the time, check it out, especially with a friend. It could be a great time, but don't let the big Xbox games, I put that in quote, overshadow what is a really good first-party drop here. So those are my thoughts on Minecraft Legends. Ultimately a good time. Do check it out if you're curious. And with that, let me know your thoughts on this RTS game in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Be sure to consider checking that out, as it fuels all of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.